What's up, what's going on, legends? Welcome back to the channel. Today we're back in Black Ops 6 Zombies, and I'm bringing you guys the guide to complete the main quest Easter egg on Citadelle de Morts. When you spawn in, your first goal is simple. Rack up points, open up doors, and follow the in-game objectives to eventually make it into the bottom of the castle to unlock the Pack-a-Punch. In case of confusion, you shoot the locks off the marked container, defeat the doppelgas inside, grab the blood Ethereum crystal, return it to the portal within the container, or it will turn into a Pack-a-Punch machine. Now we need to open the next door to the left of Pack-a-Punch, which will take us into a room with Quick Revive. Behind Quick Revive will be a little hallway with a wooden door that you can walk up to and hold your interact button to open the slot and talk to Craft, initiating the start of the main quest. The next step involves us obtaining and upgrading all swords held by the knights in the dining hall of the castle in the same room as the new perk Vulture 8. Each sword is represented by a symbol: dragon for fire, lion for light, deer for electric, and raven for dark. In order to acquire one of the swords, you will need to first get a stamp which drops from the zombies wearing the medieval helmets. It should begin spawning after talking with Craft. Eliminate one when you see them, then grab the drop stamp and use it to interact with one of the 4 knights to have its specific base version of the sword become available. You will need to do this for each, meaning that you will need 4 stamps in total for access to them all, and you will need to upgrade all of them for the Easter egg quest. It honestly shouldn't matter which one you start with, but I would recommend Fire, as it'll be the easiest to upgrade early on, and you can always swap between them by returning them to the appropriate knight at any time. First, we have Caliber and the Fire Sword. With this sword in hand, you'll head back towards the start of the castle where Jug is located, and at the top of the stairs is a dragon figure with a slot to insert the sword. Once inserted, you'll head back to the spawn next to the Rampage Inducer to grab the fire from the first brazier or fire pit. With this fire in hand, you will then continuously take damage, so you'll want to be fast, but you will return this fire to the sword in the statue and interact with it to have it absorbed. If you melee a zombie during this step while you're traveling with the fire, you will actually regain health if it seems like it's going a bit rough. You will need to repeat this process a total of 3 times, one for each brazier location. The second one is located to the left if you head it from spawn towards the barn, and the final one is on the top of the wall near the lion cannon. Once you bring the 3 braziers worth of fire to the sword, it will then become empowered with fire, upgraded, and then be ready to be retrieved. Next, we have Solus, or the Light Sword. With this sword in hand, you will need to eliminate the glowing yellow parasites in order to power it up. Then you're going to want to take this over near Speed Cola. Actually, if you're coming from the castle, just past the Speed Cola machine, stay to the left where the road actually ramps down. There will actually be a door to your right. You can then hit this with the powered up sword, indicating it worked correctly by a lit up symbol that will happen in one of the corners. Repeat this process a total of 4 times before you will have the ability to interact with the door. Enter it to enter into a small hallway with a location at the end to place the sword. Once you actually place it in, the stand itself will have 4 symbols that are going to be lit up on it. They will be from top to bottom in order in which you need to shoot them. It will now be floating around the stand in this small area here. You will need to deal with zombies, so be very cautious. You are going to shoot those symbols in order in which they show up on the stand. Once you shoot the 4th and final one, it will then power up the sword, allowing you to re-grab it, giving you that upgraded version. Next, we have Balmung, or the Dark Sword. Upgrading this one requires us to solve a little bit of a puzzle, but first we're going to need to grab the appropriate antiquity or part, and this can actually be a small variety of different possibilities, which indicates our code that we will use for our next part of our puzzle. Depending on which one you actually get during your run will determine what your code will actually be. So for example, in one round, our part was a ram horn, and the next one, it ended up being a fish. And I know for sure it also has a possibility of being a bird's head. So this part specifically can be multiple different options, and it is just going to depend on your run which one you get. Now, where this antiquity is actually going to be found is going to be in the alchemical lab, just next to basically the dining room or the dining area where those knights are going to be found. So you will find the little chemical lab over there. Within this lab on one of the shelves will be this part, and you guys should be able to identify it. Again, it can be a bird head or a couple birds head, a ram horn, or even like a fish fossil that will, again, determine our code for this next step. But once you have this antiquity or part, take it over to the tavern near the spawn, head to the basement level where you will see a puzzle on the wall with a place to put it and the Balmung Dark Sword. To determine the code needed to power the sword, you will use the antiquity you got to determine the appropriate zodiac symbol. For the ram, it was Aries. For the fish, it was Pisces. And for the bird, it would be Libra. Using this and the correct zodiac symbol attached, we now have our outer ring symbol. The inside ring represents an element. So for the ram, it's going to be earth down arrow with a line. The fish is water, so just down arrow, of course. And then the bird's head is air, so it'll be an up arrow with a line. You can always look up the zodiac symbols or the elements if you are struggling with this part, but with the correct code, you can now enter that into the puzzle where it will open a dark ether portal on the floor, spit out some orbs, which will follow the individual who interacted with the puzzle, who will then need to guide them near the portal on the floor to be absorbed. Once the portal absorbs 3 of the orbs, it will then turn into an orb of its own. Then it will move locations where it will repeat the exact same process again before it moves to a third and final location before making its return to the puzzle to empower the sword. At this point, all you need to do is pick up the sword and you have the upgraded version of Balmung. Next, we have Durandal, or the Electric Sword. Upgrading this one requires a part that you need to actually acquire 3 of, known as Lightning Rods. One of the Lightning Rods is dropped randomly from a zombie sometime around round 15, or at least it was from my few experiences, so look out pretty much at all times for it, at least leading up to that point. Our second rod is available as soon as you open the route to the barn where Deadshot is located, as it's just leaning up against the hay bale to the left of the machine. Our final rod will require us to have dead wire equipped to our weapon, then head over to the door you used to upgrade the Solus or Light Sword, where you'll see an electrical box just above on the wall where the ramp leads down. You can now shoot this with the ammo mod to release the final lightning rod. With all the rods in hand, take them to the top of the castle wall, where you will then see a jar that you can insert the rods into. With the rods inside the jar, it will then emit an electrical storm you will want to stand within and eliminate the zombies until the sword is charged with electricity, where you'll then hit the jar to power one of the rods. Do this 3 times to fully charge the jar, where you can then place the sword within to finally get it upgraded. Now that we have all 4 of the swords upgraded, it's time to unlock each of the incantations used for an upcoming step coming in with fire, electric, dark, and light, same as the swords. For fire, we're going to head over to the lion cannon and look at the castle. You'll see an unlit bonfire at the top that you'll need to ignite via a Molotov. It's also important that you can use the special ability of the fire sword, but it is probably going to be a little bit easier depending on where you're at to use the Molotov to actually knock this out. Fire shotgun, however, did not work. The second bonfire is on the same level of the castle on the left side of the roof, with our last and final bonfire just above Speed Cola on the rocks. After all 3 are ignited, a doppelgast will spawn within the area, which once eliminated will drop you your first artifact known as Ra's Ankh. After acquiring the artifact, a yellow circle will be present on the ground in the courtyard near the stairs leading up to the wall with the cannon. Interact with it to place the artifact and start the soul box-like event, requiring you to just eliminate zombies until it's complete. A glowing chest will pop up after completing the event, requiring you to literally just melee it with the Caliburn to open it, revealing the fire incantation. For light, we need to head to the dining hall or the same room with all the knights, where you will see a small crystal emitting a bit of light above the railing looking at Vulture Aid. You need to shoot the little backplate behind it with something other than a shotgun, as I know it wasn't working when I tried it, to aim the light to one directly across the room. You will know that is correct when the light is connected to the next one, which you will then repeat this exact same process to continue to connect them as they progress into the alchemical lab, before finally finishing at the table presenting the Paladin's brooch. Similar to the fire one, this one will have a glowing yellow circle on the floor, this time in the dining hall area near where you enter. Eliminate the zombies through the soul box event, where it will eventually complete and turn into another glowing chest. You will then, this time, melee with Solus to access the light incantation. For dark, we first need to get a hold of the Raven's Talon. This one is actually one of the easier ones to acquire, as we just need to hit the cave slide fast travel just past Pack-a-Punch Machine in the Undercroft to actually make our way towards the starting area. But at the bottom or end of the shortcut on the right side will be an actual Raven that you will need to be prepared to shoot. You will shoot it, it will then travel out of the shortcut itself and begin flying in the area towards the barn. You want to shoot this guy out of the sky, wait a few moments, and the Raven Talon should fall down where you will be able to grab it. Now return to the room near Pack-a-Punch with all the water, where you'll see yet again another yellow circle you can interact with to start the soul event. Finish off the required zombies to spawn in your yellow chest that you'll once again hit, this time with the Balmung to open to acquire the dark incantation. For electric, we need to get Otto's horseshoe from the barn where Deadshot Daiquiri is located. Just go inside, look above the door further away from the perk machine, shoot it to knock it down, then pick it up. Take this over to the lion cannon on the wall and shoot yourself out of it with the horseshoe in your inventory. When you land, you'll no longer have it in your inventory, but you will be able to find it on the ground around spawn, over in the area with the barn, or on the ground heading right out of the spawn towards Speed Cola. With Pegasus horseshoe now, you'll be able to head into the spawn area near the door towards the barn, where you'll then see the final yellow circle you can now interact with to place the horseshoe, start the soul event, and complete it just like the other incantations to finally get access to the electric incantation. With all the incantations available, we are ready for the next step. Head down into the room near Pack-a-Punch where you did the Raven Talon soul event with all the water. On the small wall further away from the ammo cache on the right side is a part of the wall that can be destroyed via melee macchiato to reveal a puzzle on the wall. This is a 6-symbol puzzle, with the order being determined by some jars or jugs within the tavern. The jars have static locations and are marked with Roman numerals. To determine the order, you just need to either remember or write down all the symbols in correlation to the number on it. You will need to interact with the jar to reveal the symbol, with the first one on the bar, second one on the table near the stairs, third on the table in the corner near the bar, fourth near the door to the left stairs, fifth on the table at the booth across from the second, and the final one on the upper level. Now head back to the puzzle and shoot the symbols in order to solve the puzzle and have it reveal a book next to it with missing pages. These missing pages can be acquired in any order and also at any time within the sitting rooms, which features the stamina perk. Although 4 pages spawn, they do have multiple locations in which they can appear, but all within that same small area of the room. With all 4 pages acquired and the previous puzzle that unveiled the book, you can now see the order of the pages on the book to determine the order of the next step. Each of the symbols is a variant of an eyeball and will be present on the power-up traps around the map. With the order of the pages, you will now want to activate the traps that match that order, which you will then be able to see the trap is correct if the lit up part matches the eyeball symbol of the page. If it looks like some of them don't look lit up to match. Activate the traps in order, eliminate the zombies, then move to the next trap indicated by the page. Once the final trap is activated and completed, a red orb will pop out and move to a specific location near stamina, where it reveals a wall with different element symbols alongside Roman numerals to determine the order. Now with all the upgraded swords, incantations, and now the wall revealing the order available, it's time to head back to the knights. The order revealed on the wall with the Roman numerals is the order for this next step. You need to face the first knight indicated by the Roman numerals and elements and hit it with its correct incantation. Then holding the knight's specific sword, you need to weapon inspect in front of it while it's glowing from the incantation. If done correctly, the knight will put its arm up and you can place the sword back where it will glow until the rest of the knights have been finished. Once all knights are glowing, they will connect via beams of light to bring down the mystic orb, where you then will be able to grab it. Now with our mystic orb in hand, you need to head to the same locations as the glowing chests were opened with each of the swords to interact with a drained-like orb holder. Place the orb within the spot, then interact with it once again to start the elemental challenge. Remember, each of these locations will require the same incantation as the element of the sword you upgrade. For example, one near the castle wall, you'll need fire. The one in the spawn, you'll need lightning, etc. You will want to use the incantations within close proximity to eliminate the zombies outside of the light one, which you will then want to actually grab the large green orbs to make progress. Once you head to all 4 locations and power the mystic orb via the challenges, you can then take it back to the wall near stamina to let us know the elements in order to place it in, which then you will unlock a secret door behind. Walk in, and on the table you will receive the final part needed to initiate the final encounter, the Guardian Key. Now that you have all your perks and weapons upgraded, you're ready to take on the final encounter against the Guardian boss. Head to the statue within the spawn, and on the base is the spot to initiate it with the Guardian Key. Now this boss fight was interesting because the Guardian had a ton of armor, making it tough to determine how well my weapon was performing, but the crit spots moved around to different parts of the body indicated by the glow of the area. Focus specifically on those spots to deal the most damage while avoiding the slams and dealing with the zombies that continue to spawn throughout. As the fight progresses, the arena gets smaller over time as lava or fire slowly encloses around the arena, also damaging you a bit if you actually end up in it. Your main focus will be mostly dodging the slams and avoiding being blasted into the fire, but similar to Patient 13 on Terminus, it has 3 phases, with each transition consisting of him going into the center, being invincible while you fight off a wave of zombies. For the sake of support, I recommend bringing a mutant injector to at least deal with everything but the boss in a pinch. Overall, the boss was just more tanky than anything, and you just have to avoid losing your perks to make it out alive. Eventually, after enough dodging attacks and outputting damage, you'll be able to survive the 3rd phase and eliminate the Guardian, completing the Citadelle de Morts Easter egg. Now that's going to wrap things up for us here. Sometime down the line, I'll probably do another video focused specifically on the boss fight and making things easier as we learn a little bit more. But after completing my first few runs, I figured I was set up to at least set you guys up to complete this Easter egg. Thank you guys for all the support in today's video, all the support in the channel. I look forward to seeing y'all in the next one. Peace!